Hello and welcome to another Corriedale Reviews. That's right, we are back and we are back with a bang. So, I'm going to be recapping everything that happened on this week's Emmerdale. So that's all the episodes that aired between the 23rd and the 27th of July. And guys, what a week. What a week of Emmerdale. A treat. An absolute treat this week has been. We found out that Rebecca, also known as Carly D'Amato to some fans, is alive, which I think is great news. It turns out, that Lachlan has her locked in some weird shed somewhere, or something like that. He's got her collared to around the waist, and she is in an abandoned shed in the middle of nowhere. Just remember, it is a family show. So yeah, it's very strange. Obviously, it's very nice when a character is revealed to not be dead, because I always dislike it when characters get killed off. Especially the saddest I was when a character died in all soaps. As you know, I'm also an avid watcher of Coronation Street. But the saddest I've ever been when a character's died is actually Jerry on Emmerdale, who we actually found out in this episode that he was killed by Lachlan. But I'll move on to that later. But yeah, Jerry dying was really sad, because I think the saddest part about a character dying is the gap that they leave on the show. And well, a lot of deaths are quite sad. Like we had Ashley's death in Coronation Street, Ashley's death in Emmerdale last year, and we had Hayley's death in Coronation Street back in 2014, the start. And then numerous other characters die. But I mean, it's sad. But do you end up missing the character? Not really. So the saddest I've ever been when a character's died is Jerry, because he was a fantastic character in the show, and it was such a shame to have him leave. And when he's killed off, there's no possibility that he might return. Like, say, for instance, if the writers had decided to give him a job somewhere, I'm going to leave, I've got a new job. He leaves, but then he comes back. So there's always the possibility of him returning. But dying, I mean, Emmerdale do this thing they've started doing where they'll have a dead character make a cameo, maybe in some dream sequence. They did that on the Christmas episode, which was a really good episode, really well-produced episode. It was like Groundhog Day. Really good episode, definitely worth a watch, the Emmerdale Christmas special. But again, I'm going on a tangent here. So yeah, the saddest I've been is when Jerry died, just because of the fact that it's such a loss to the show, because he added so much, because he was a really funny character. But I think that soaps should very seldom kill off characters. I think if you're killing off more than 3 characters a year, I think there's something wrong. I think that's too many. You've got killing sprees, and, well, I say 3 characters, I mean 3 episodes of killing. I think anything more than that, I mean, you don't want to have too many characters dying. I think it always makes for an exciting episode, and it's always quite an occasion. It's always an occasion when a character dies. I remember the occasion of when Kylie was killed in Coronation Street, and Kylie was, before Jerry, Kylie was the saddest I've ever been for a death, because Kylie was such a good character as well. But this is an Emmerdale review, not a Coronation Street review, so I'll save that for another time. But there's always a sense of occasion with an episode. Oh, this is the episode where so-and-so is going to die. And then sometimes there isn't that occasion. Sometimes it's just sprung onto you as a shock twist, like they do in Emmerdale. Emmerdale are better at doing twists than Coronation Street, because with Coronation Street, everything always gets leaked. There's always spoilers. With Emmerdale, the writers are really good at keeping their cards close to their chests and not letting spoilers get leaked, and which always makes Emmerdale a bit more exciting, because you don't know what to watch. With Coronation Street, you've got the spoilers, but then you want to watch it to find out how it plays out. And again, with Emmerdale, you get spoilers too. And a lot of the time as well, the Emmerdale writers love throwing off the viewers. Like they had last year the whole thing with Marlon and Carly, where there was a whole thing in the paper about how Carly was going to leave, how Gemma Atkinson, the actress that plays Carly, was going to leave. And we think, oh, this must be her exit storyline. But then they get back together, and we're all thinking, what? Wasn't expecting that. And that's what I really like about Emmerdale, is they're really good. They're really good at misleading the viewers, throwing the viewers off and surprising the viewers. So there's always a lot more twists. Like, I don't think Coronation Street would have been able to do the twist that Emmerdale did a couple months ago, where it turns out that Charity's baby was still alive. I think that would have been leaked in the papers ages ago, whereas with Emmerdale, there was nothing about it. It was, I mean, a lot of people guessed at it. I had an inkling that maybe the baby was still alive, but I didn't know, and I was thinking, well, there's nothing's been leaked, nothing's been said, so we'll have to wait and see, won't we? And then right at the end, we see that the baby looks like he's dead, and Charity's just out of there, young Charity's just out of there, and the nurse comes back, and we find out that the baby survived, and we're just watching going, hang on, what have I seen? What? You know, like, that's sort of the reaction. I do like soaps. You can probably tell that I do really like soaps, and a lot of people often berate me for it. But soaps are good. Soaps, I mean, you get 6 of them a week of one soap. And I watch 2, so I get 12 episodes a week. If you watch EastEnders, you get 5 of them a week, but EastEnders are longer because they're on the BBC, so you're essentially getting the same amount of content with every soap you're watching per week, which is always good. And we survived the World Cup. We managed to get enough Emmerdale and Coronation Street while the World Cup was going on, which is always good because I love the World Cup, but I hate sport interfering with my soaps as well, so it's always hard. But it's good that they're able to, you know, have the England game and then say, okay, well, obviously we can't have Coronation Street or Emmerdale because we've got an England game on, and obviously I'd rather watch that live than a soap live, because with a sport event, you know, you live it while it's live, whereas with a soap you can watch it any time. So I'd rather that. So that's good. I'd rather they prioritise the football, but I'm just saying I'm glad that the soap calendar, the soap timetable is back to normal. So what have I said? I've spoken about how Rebecca is still alive, and Lachlan has confessed to her that he killed Chrissy, his mum, and Rebecca's sister. It's complicated. Well, Rebecca, or Carly D'Amato, as a lot of fans would call her, she's Lachlan's aunt. So I think it's so messed up that Lachlan has his aunt locked up in some cottage in the middle of nowhere. But Lachlan is messed up. So he killed Rebecca's sister, who's also his mother. He killed her father, his grandfather, and he killed Jerry. And as I said, it was hard hearing that he'd killed Jerry again, because it just reminds you of the gravity of everything, that Jerry would still be alive if it wasn't for Lachlan. Chrissy would still be alive. I was sad when Chrissy died. I was also sad when Lawrence died. Lawrence being the grandfather. I was also sad. It's been a tough year. We've lost a few good characters, a few staples of the show, really. But yeah, Lachlan has Rebecca in a cell, and we don't know what's going to happen. He's confessed all, and Rebecca's understandably terrified, as I would be if somebody's got me against my will in a basement telling me that he's killed all these people. I would be absolutely swear word ing a brick. Well, I mean, that actually brings up another issue. What is Rebecca's toilet arrangements like? I mean, if she's chained up, does she have to wee in a bucket or something. I mean, that's something that the show's not explained, but I suppose we're not really supposed to think about that. I suppose we've just got to accept the situation is the way it is. And, I mean, does she just have to wet herself? It's not really something that I want to think of. And she must stink as well if she's been there for, 9 days. Properly smell. And then, there's things that I don't really want to think about, but the reality is that these are issues that you have to think about if you're going to keep someone captive. Is obviously there, toilet arrangements, eating. That's another thing you have to think about. If you're keeping someone captive, you have to think about, well, what are they going to eat? Well, Lachlan gave us some cake to eat, which she wasn't too happy about, and some apples. Personally, for me, I think what Rebecca needs to be doing is not eat anything, because if she doesn't eat anything, then she loses weight. And I'm not saying that she's fat, because she really isn't fat, but if she doesn't eat, she'll end up losing weight, and then by losing weight, she'll be able to escape the chains that are binding her. So that's what I'd do. I'd allow myself to waste away to escape. And obviously, I mean, you need energy from food, but then at the same time, if you're able to get those chains off you, you've got that adrenaline, which will be enough to get you out of danger and find the help that you need. Because I'll tell you what, I want Lachlan to get caught. I want the police to find out exactly what, and they will. Hopefully Rebecca will still be alive when the police catch Lachlan, and the police will know what Lachlan's done. That's probably it for Rebecca and Lachlan. There was something else, I think. Oh yes, he made her record a message because Robert, the father to Rebecca's son, very confusing, tried to file a missing persons report because he found her passport and Lachlan was claiming she was in Ibiza. So what Lachlan did was get her to record a message. He was actually in Wales and apologising for not contacting anybody or just running off like that. And yeah, fine, perfectly plausible. What Lachlan did, which was really clever, is instead of let Rebecca speak on the phone, he recorded her saying exactly what he wanted her to say, and then played the tape recording in the phone, which is obviously a very clever idea, because if you've got someone captive, you don't want to be giving them access to a phone where they can say anything they want. I mean, it might not be the smartest thing for her to say, oh, by the way, help, Lachlan's got me locked up in some shed somewhere. But, I mean, at the same time, it's not really a risk you want to take because you don't want people finding out. I mean, he would probably kill her. But then there are no knives in the cottage, so how would he kill her? I mean, he could use the chains, couldn't he? I mean, again, it's not really something I want to think about. But yeah, it is a strange storyline. But I am hoping that Rebecca figures out a way to escape. Because Simon wants to sit next to her in sociology later. Little joke there. Okay, so that is pretty much the whole Rebecca storyline out in the way. So, meanwhile, Robert wants to tell Aaron that he wants to marry him. And Aaron wants to tell Robert that he wants to marry him. But they don't want each other to know that they have plans to ask them this, so they're being very coy and weird about it. And Robert wants to go to the bistro. The bistro is a different show. Robert wants to go to the Woolly and tell Aaron there. And Aaron wants to go to the fair and tell Robert there. So they decided to compromise and do neither of those things because Robert hates the fair or something like that. But yeah, I said in my last review that Robert and Aaron, I was a big fan of those two reconciling, and I approve of their relationship. But it dawned on me the other day that, I think I said this in my other review, that Aaron and Robert don't act like gay men, which I like. I like how in the soap they have gay men that don't act like gay men. You know, I'm just a normal bloke, but I'm gay at the same time. I think that's really good and really healthy to have a show where, they've got characters like that, just seem like perfectly ordinary blokes, because they are ordinary blokes, but at the same time, they're gay as well, and that's that. But it did dawn on me the other day thinking, but he's not gay in real life, is he? The actor that plays Aaron, I was thinking, no way he's gay in real life. And then did a bit of Googling and found out that he does have a girlfriend. The same with the actor that plays Robert, has a girlfriend in real life. So you think watching it that they're both straight, and then you find out that they're gay together, and you think, oh, that's nice, they seem like normal people, but they're gay because normal people are gay. But like a character like Finn, for instance, who was killed off last year, you could easily tell he was gay, and it turns out that the actor was gay in real life as well. But then in Coronation Street, you have a character called Daniel who plays a straight character, but in real life, the actor that plays him was gay, and actually went out with the actor that played the vicar for a while, who is gay, and his character's gay as well. So, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent again. So, as I said, all I'm saying is I think it's a nice message to give the viewers, nice to educate the viewers that, if a bloke's gay, he doesn't go, oh, well, he's, can just be a normal bloke. And at the same time, I imagine if a bloke's all, oh, hello, he can be straight, So it's good that I like how Emmerdale closed down barriers. And, Robert and Aaron, they're two mates, but they're also a couple. And I think that's there's nothing wrong with that. So now we're going to move on to Marlon and Jesse. So Marlon has finally plucked up the courage to ask out Jesse, and Jesse has finally given in to Marlon's advances and finally decided, okay, fine, I will go out with you. And they are now a couple, so yes, Jesse is the new Carly. April seems to be taking the news very well. She did a little presentation about the do's and don'ts, which wasn't difficult to sit through at all. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them, because I imagine that something will happen, and I think that if I know Emmerdale, they've got a little something up their sleeve with Marlon and Jesse that they're going to spring onto us in the next few weeks. So I'm looking forward to finding out exactly what is going to happen there. I reckon Jesse probably has some sort of secret or some sort of character trait that's going to come out in the next few weeks, and it's going to make for a very entertaining viewing. I'll get back to you when that happens. But that's about it with Marlon and Jesse. And there's that was a really weird woman as well that kept flirting with Marlon. And that was just all extremely odd. Awfully odd, yeah. No, that was strange. Matty and Victoria. So Matty used to be called Hannah and used to be Moira's daughter, but now he is Marlon is not Jesse. He's Moira's son now. He was a woman and now he is a man. Although he can't use a urinal, but at the same time, that's not what makes you a man anymore. It's all about, if you feel like you're a man, you're a man, and if you feel like you're a woman, you're a woman. It's normal. And again, that's the soap educating us and teaching us that it's okay to be different. Be who you want to be. And we have the characters. The characters are fine. The characters accept Matty. Moira struggled I mean, she said, she feels like she's losing her last remaining daughter because obviously Holly died. And now Hannah's decided she wants to be Matty, the man. And of course it's difficult for Moira. I'm not defending Moira because, she you can't say that stuff in 2018 that she said to Matty, but I suppose I can understand her struggling with it because, it is, I mean, obviously us soap fans were treated to Hayley in Coronation Street, who was a man who became a woman, and we've known about that. We've had Hayley in the soap for, I think she joined in the late 90s, so, she and Roy and Hayley were so iconic together. So, I mean, transgender characters aren't anything new to soaps. But yeah, it's good that we have that. It's nice to see a transgender character living in the Emmerdale community so we can, just see that he is a normal person. He's just like you and me. And I like that. I like that well, I tell you what though, it's going to take some use to the idea of Matty and Victoria. Because I'll tell you why that's wrong. Not because of the whole transgender thing, but the fact that Victoria is his sister-in-law. And Victoria's married to his brother. So, I mean, that's wrong right there. The whole transgender thing, I don't have an issue with them being together because, if she fancies him and he fancies her, then that's fine. I mean, we had Roy and Hayley. A couple ignorant people might say something like, oh, Roy's gay because he's married to a man. But he's not married to a man, he's married to Hayley. He was married to Hayley, who was, because she died, a woman. And a woman when she died because, we can choose. You can be who you want to be. So, I have no issue with... Well, I have an issue with Matty and Victoria, but not a transphobic issue, more of a whole, Victoria is his sister-in-law, you don't go out with your mate's exes, and you certainly don't go out with your family's exes. That is a complete no-no. If Victoria fancies Matty and Matty wasn't, her brother-in-law, then that's fine. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, it works for Roy and Hayley. It works, Okay, anyway, so I think that's enough about Matty. Oh, yes, and the fact that they managed to get the scammer. The scammer who sold Matty the bull, Moira giving Matty too much responsibility, Matty getting scammed, getting played. But thanks to the help of Victoria, they were able to get the money back off the scammer, who the scammer in a Range Rover and Jules jacket. Yeah. He weren't paying for no bull. That weren't worth nothing. So good for Matty, good for Victoria. We've pretty much glanced over Moira. Moira just saying it as it is. You're a terrible farmer. You're an awful farmer. That's what she told Matty. So what else happened on the Dales this week? Well, the big thing is Ryan is back and Charity wants to introduce him to her family, and then she doesn't want to introduce him to her family only because of the whole thing with Debbie and Sarah. So I'll tell you what, I'll come back to Ryan and Charity because I think Debbie and Sarah needs mentioning. We didn't see anything about it on tonight's episode, but we did hear a lot about it throughout the week. It's really sad. It's really sad because Sarah thinks she might die. And that's heartbreaking, the fact that she's only 13 And I mean, there's a possibility that, you know, a donor heart doesn't come off in time, or a donor heart will come in time and she dies. And what I also really love about it as well is it's you know, it's raising the issue of being an organ donor and about how it is the greatest gift you can give someone. A few years ago, I applied for my driver's license, and when you do that, you're given a choice to make. You have a box that you tick saying, I'd like to become an organ donor. Except recently, I don't know if they've changed it now or they're planning to change it, they're going to make it so you tick the box saying, I would not like to become an organ donor. So instead of it being an opt-in, it's now an opt-out, which is obviously better because people who ignore it and don't tick the box will just automatically be organ donors, which I think is a good idea because, I mean, it's such a good gift to give people, and I'm loving how Emmerdale are really opening our eyes. I think you know, everything I've said in this review, it's been all about learning about different people and different issues, and that's great because Emmerdale is a great show, and you know what? I learn when I'm watching it. I get educated. I'm exposed to all these different ideas and all these different viewpoints, and I can really think, hang on a second, never really thought about organ donation before, but, you know, seeing Sarah need a new heart, I think that, you know, if I died, God forbid, because I don't want to die, but if I just died randomly, the idea that maybe a doctor could harvest my organs, get out my heart and my kidneys and everything, and give them to people that need them, that've got the same blood type as me, I think, why not? Why would you not want to be an organ donor? Especially if you want to get cremated, because then they just get wasted. And if you're buried, you know, you can always get stuffed, couldn't you? But I don't mean it like that. I mean, you could actually stuff yourself like you would an animal. I believe it's called taxidermy. That's going off another tangent. But, I mean, I want to find out if I'm on the organ donors list. And if I'm not on the organ donors list, I want to make sure that I damn well am on the organ donors list, because the idea of being able to, you know, because if I'm dead, I don't need my heart. But someone like Sarah, if I have the same blood as her, and, you know, my heart would work for her, then, you know, she can have my heart. Otherwise, she dies as well, and that's just a waste. So, I mean, it would be nice if maybe Emmerdale could say, oh, these are the cons of being an organ donor, because I like to have a balanced argument in front of me. And I might be saying this maybe because, you know, I've got all these pros in my face and I've not really heard any cons. Obviously, before I check if I'm a donor, and if I'm not, if I want to decide to become a donor, I need to go to the NHS and say, you know, what are the benefits and what are the disbenefits of being a donor, and then from there make an informed choice. But from what I've heard, I can't see any negatives. I can't see any negatives to being an organ donor. So for me personally, I think just why not? What a gift. And I think Marlon was saying the same thing to Paddy a couple of weeks ago, that organ donation is such a good thing because it just gives life. And, you know, if a baby was to die on, because Paddy and Chaz's baby is going to die, but what if another baby was stillborn on the same day? Maybe they could harvest that baby's organs and give Chaz and Paddy's baby the lungs and the kidney of the dead baby. And maybe Chaz and Paddy's baby could survive after all. It's unlikely, but I mean, that's what organ donation does, isn't it? It's an incredible thing. And if Paddy and Chaz's baby doesn't make it, you know, they can harvest that baby's organs and get the heart and anything else, because obviously she doesn't have liver, she doesn't have kidneys or lungs. She'll have a liver, she'll have all the other essentials, so they can get those And I mean, a lot of people are saying maybe Sarah could have Chaz and Paddy's baby's heart. I mean, I don't think that would work because I think that heart would be too small for Sarah. But yeah, so that's enough about harvesting organs. Now we're going to move on to Ryan and Charity, as I said I would. I was thinking, is Irene homophobic or something? Because she was going on about Charity. She had this rant about, you got a girlfriend, and I was thinking, and is that an issue, Irene? Because if it is an issue, you really need to reassess your viewpoint, and you need to maybe find a time machine and go back in time 30 years when your views are still acceptable. But no, I don't think she is homophobic. I think she just had a problem with how liberal Charity was, which it just becomes a political thing. But it really turns out that Irene's real insecurity was the fact that, Charity was going to steal Ryan. And Charity said, that's never my intention. And, I loved how on yesterday's Emmerdale, Charity, Vanessa, Irene and Ryan talked. Because I was thinking the whole thing about, Charity, I can't tell Debbie with everything that's going on with Sarah. I was thinking, oh no, Ryan's going to get the wrong end of the stick again. And it's just going to take another few weeks to sort the whole thing out. And it's going to be, oh God, here we go again. But no, the characters had a conversation with each other. Because this whole thing is all about Charity saying she was ill, and then Ryan finds out she wasn't ill, and it's going to be, But the characters actually spoke to each other and resolved their differences by speaking to each other. Which, that's what normal people do, and that's how normal people resolve issues. But it never seems to be an option in Soapland. Everyone just lies to each other, and obviously all the problems start when characters start lying to each other, but no, they had a conversation and they sorted everything out. And you think, why can't soaps do this more? Coronation Street never does this. Emmerdale sometimes will just have characters think like normal human beings and resolve issues that way by doing what a normal human being would do, which is talk, which is a reason why I prefer Emmerdale to Coronation Street, is because sometimes the characters will actually do things that normal people would do, which actually helps resolve the situation instead of continuously dragging it out. And I still like Coronation Street, but that's what puts Emmerdale above it for me, is the fact that, the characters will do that. And I think, thank God that characters are actually being honest with each other. And it shouldn't be something where I'm like, thank you for being honest. I mean, I don't know. But yeah. So, there was this thing in Coronation Street where back in 2015, Carla slept with Robert. It's hard to remember who was with who, because it pretty much happens in both soaps, more so in Coronation Street, where people just chop and change who they're with. We've got Marlon, who's pretty much been with everybody in the village, as we saw a couple of weeks ago with his gallery of exes, which was really funny. But we had it in 2015 in Coronation Street. We had Carla, I think it was with Robert. I think Carla slept with Robert, and she didn't want Nick. She was going out with Nick at the time to find out. And then she was so close to telling Nick. She was so close to telling Nick. And she was so nearly there, and I'm thinking, come on, Carla, you can do it. Please, Carla, tell him the truth. You can do it. And then, just as she's about to tell the truth, because this is something else that happens. Sometimes something just comes out of the blue, and a character will just bottle it all. Another time, and I hate this so much, a character will be about to tell another character something, and the other character just says to them, "Oh, I really love you, by the way. You're amazing. You're the best person in the world. You're perfection." And then they bottle it because the other character didn't shut up for 2 seconds. You know, that really annoys me. So I can't remember what happened because it was so long ago, but yeah, Carla bottles it and doesn't tell Nick and starts lying to him and lying to him and lying to him, and then it comes out and then Nick says, oh, you know what, I don't care because she loves me. But then what he does care about is all the lying, and then that's why it doesn't work, because of the fact that Carla lied to him. So, you know, that annoys me when characters end up just bottling it. They're about to tell someone something and then they just completely bottle it. I mean, you normally get characters confessing something if they're in too deep, but never really telling a character something by their own free will. By, you know, they don't have to tell, but they will tell. And one of my least favourite things is when a character's blackmailed, especially if the only thing they did was cheat, and then the blackmailer's like, you need to give me £20,000, and then instead of doing the sensible thing of, well, I'm probably going to have to just tell the person instead of pay this person £20,000, they're like, they break the law to try and get the money or pay the money somehow by getting a loan with a very uncompetitive rate of interest or something. And I just, if someone's blackmailing you and it's something like that, like a situation you can fix, you know, especially like cheating on somebody. First of all, you shouldn't have cheated in the first place. But I mean, don't get them the £20,000. Just admit to the person that you cheated, because then you don't have to break the law for the other person. For me personally, if someone blackmailed me like that, I mean, I wouldn't cheat on anybody, but if somebody used to blackmail me and that was what they had, well, first of all, you record them trying to blackmail you. And that's another thing. Why don't characters record what other characters say more? Like, if I knew a character was a bad guy and they were probably going to say something to me which was incriminating, I would definitely make sure that my phone was recording so I could have evidence that this person was dodgy. Like Craig did it in Coronation Street. Craig recorded Neil confessing, and that was a big key point in Coronation Street this week, that because he had that video recording, he could explain to Kayla that, you know, her father is a bad person. But I think characters need to try doing that more. They need to record what the other characters say, because then, you know, they've got the evidence. Like, for instance, why, when David was raped by Josh in Coronation Street, why doesn't David just have his phone on record every time he knows he's going to be interacting with Josh? Because if Josh says something, like he says, well, they slept together, and then he's able to push him, it's like, fine, I raped you. It's like, well, I've got the proof on my phone. So you're in court, buddy. I've got a recording of you saying you raped me. I've got a recording of you saying that you committed a crime. So now I don't have to worry about getting evidence, because this is pretty damning evidence that you've confessed to raping me, and I can play this in a court. Otherwise, it's just his word against David's. So yeah, why don't people record more? So, I mean, that's what I do if someone's blackmailing me, is I would meet them again with my phone in my pocket on record, saying, so remind me the terms of our agreement. It's like, oh, you give me 20 grand or I'll tell your wife that you were sleeping with her. Because now I've got evidence that this person is committing a crime, and I've got to think, well, tough. You know, he knows that I was cheating on my wife or girlfriend, so I've got to face the consequences for that. It's out in the open, and if he knows, someone else is bound to know anyway. It's over. There's no getting away with it. Not that I'd want to cheat or get away with it. I'd want to do a dug and be honest and hope that I can resolve it from there, because if I've learned anything from soaps, a lot of the times the characters aren't as annoyed with the whole cheating as they are with the whole lying. It's the months of lying. I mean, not saying the cheating was good, because obviously they're furious at the cheating, but I think they're more furious about the lying, the months or years sometimes of lying. So I'd have to think, tough. It's up. The jig is up. I'm just going to have to confess. And obviously, it's always better to confess. And as I said, it's rare that a character will confess, but it's normally because the character realises that they're in too deep and their goose is cooked and they have to do it. So, yes, I would have the recording of the person trying to blackmail me, give that to the police so the police can, arrest this person. And, and that's another thing. Get the police involved more. And I think soaps do that. Soaps tend to do that a bit, where they'll get the police involved. But a lot of the times, the police could resolve issues for you that you have. And, record voices. Like, if I lived in Emmerdale or Coronation Street, I feel like, if anything awful happened to me, which, it's almost guaranteed to happen if you live there, at least I've got my phone that I can record. Please stay away from feeling, but this isn't a Coronation Street review, this is an Emmerdale review, so, and then obviously it's all about Soapland in general. Anyway, if you've been able to put up with 40 odd minutes of my ramblings, I'm very grateful. Let me try and think what I was saying. I was saying about recording. Yes, I think I was speaking about how, characters speaking to each other and understanding each other because they've spoken to each other. Not having an argument, having a structured debate about everything and, explaining how they feel about something and allowing the other characters to understand them and not attacking the other person. And I was really happy that Irene and Charity came to an understanding. And that was really good for me. And I was so glad that, that's the way it worked out, because Emmerdale could have so easily had it where Ryan gets to the wrong end of the stick. Oh, you don't want to know me then? And his mum's like, oh, she's not good for you, son. She's an awful woman and you're better off with me. So, yes, thank God they spoke to each other, and thank God that, Charity didn't have to worry about telling everyone about Ryan, because she wants to tell everyone about Ryan, but it's the whole thing. She wanted to tell Debbie and Sarah first, and she doesn't want them to find out from someone else, because she wanted them to be the first to know, even though Ross knows and Vanessa knows. Oh, and Dawn was back. I like Dawn. Dawn was back. I was thinking Dawn was like a Brittany character, except Dawn is a recurring character, whereas we have not seen Brittany yet. And I'd said to myself before this review started that I would not talk about Brittany, because Brittany's not been in it for about half a year. But, writers, when are you going to bring back Brittany? We need to see more Brittany. Am I right? Can we have... can I start a petition or something? Can we get Brittany back? I'm sorry. Brittany and Dawn. They would be fantastic additions to the show. I'd love to see them interact with each other because, Dawn is from a tough estate. She used to be on Smack. She's clean now, but, she's rough. She's got her son who's in care because she, was on the drugs, and she's an ex-prostitute. And then you got Brittany, who's I had to check up your mansion on the internet, so you weren't some weirdo, Ovi. Dawn and Brittany interacting with each other, they'd start off hating each other, like, oh, who's this posh so-and-so, and who's this peasant, is what Brittany would say to Dawn. Obviously they've got a common connection because they've both slept with Ross. So, it'd be interesting to have those two interacting with each other. So I want to see Brittany back. Brittany as in the classy French province, not the has-been pop star. But we need more Brittany. I do apologise. I will not mention Brittany in every single review. So that just leaves the whole thing with David and the Doctor and Tracy and the Doctor's wife, who's Jakey's teacher. David and Tracy, can't you just sort things out? Personally, if I was David, I wouldn't have been so horrible to Tracy in the first place. But so I think that it is right. I mean, why can't David just, say he was wrong and just act as just not act because I imagine he is sincerely sorry for the way he treated Tracy. So why can't he, express that to her and, convey to her his disgust in himself that he was such a horrible human being towards her. But at the same time, Tracy having an abortion without telling David, that's also wrong. So, I mean, the thing is, they're both in the wrong, and they've both done awful things to each other. Like, David treated Tracy like dirt on his shoe, and Tracy killed David's unborn son or daughter. So, I mean, they've both done bad things to each other. So maybe it's a relationship that's beyond repair. Maybe there is a sign on their love which reads, "Do not resuscitate." Maybe it's something like that. But nah, David and what's her name, Maya or something? No, that's not right. But I tell you what was funny now, because I didn't do a review last week, and I do apologise for that. Was the whole scene with David at the doctor's with Dr. Kavanagh. And Dr. Kavanagh's been a recurring character in the soap for a while, and I've always said I love Dr. Kavanagh. I want to see a bit more Dr. Kavanagh, and I don't know how. I don't know if they've hidden cameras and microphones in my house or something, but Emmerdale must have heard my requests. I mean, if only they can bring back Brittany, but that's another thing. Maybe they're listening to my reviews. If you are, Emmerdale, I love the show and keep it up. But every time Dr. Kavanagh's been in the show, I've always been, there's Dr. Kavanagh, there's Dr. C. And Dr. Kavanagh was one of my favourite recurring characters. But now he's more than a recurring character. Now he's part of the village. It's nice. We've got the village doc. He was in the cafe the other day just having a chat with Tracy. Although it turned out that he was talking to her about her baby, and then he blabbed everything to David, which he shouldn't have done because he's a doctor. And it said, as Eric said, David's dad, an abhorrent breach of confidentiality, or words to that effect. But it's great that Dr. Kavanagh is part of the show. It's great that we've got more of the village doc. I'll tell you what though, his daughter, what a horrible, horrible kid she is. I mean, something needs to happen there. She needs to realise that, she can't be like that. I spoke in another review about smacking, but I mean, since then I've returned to my anti-smack ways. I believe that Coronation Street did a whole storyline about how smacking isn't good after Tyrone smacked his daughter Ruby, and then for the next month she just wouldn't respond to him, and then after a month it was all completely forgotten about, completely retconned, if you like. So I mean, it shows that smacking, it stays with the child for about a month, which is what we've learned from Coronation Street, and it can be really, really bad for their psyche. I'm completely anti-smacking, and I always have been. I said those things in the other review about how Gabby needs a smack, and she doesn't need a physical smack. She needed an emotional smack, and I get that now. And emotional smacks, they're more sort of a loving parent saying, "This is wrong. You do not behave like that. You are a bad person right now." The attack But it's all constructive words, because then you've got the whole, but this is how you could improve. And, there's the love. So we've got the smack and the love. So it's not you don't physically smack your child. That's wrong. That should be illegal. Emotional slapping. When it's, you've been bad today. I'm disgusted with your behaviour. You need to change. That has the same effect, the same impact as a smack. And also, it doesn't leave a mark. Well, at least it doesn't leave a physical mark. It stays in the brain. And you know what? That emotional smack, that's going to make, the child's going to think, you know what? I can do better. And I will do better. So yeah, smacking's wrong. Physical smacking's wrong. Emotional smacking, yeah. You do that. You emotionally smack. And Leah needs more than one emotional smack. Definitely. She needs to be set straight. Or, you know what? If I was Jacob, I'd call the police. I'd say, you know what? She's stolen 2 cars now. Because you know what? Prison will be good for her. Prison will build her character. Look what happened with Liv. Liv went to prison. And, you know what? She's not going to be spiking people's drinks again, is she? And also, it was really good for her as well, because it helped her deal with her alcoholism, which she had. And it helped her pass her GCSEs. In fact, Liv didn't want to leave prison. Liv was happy in prison. She was like, it's just saying to the girls, excuse me, could I stay locked up a bit longer? She was happy in prison. So, I think prison, when it works as a rehabilitation, not, because prison shouldn't really be a punishment, unless, you're a serial killer and you're beyond help, and, you need to be locked up, like Lachlan, for instance. Lachlan needs a punishment-based prison, but for someone like Leah needs a rehabilitation-based prison. She needs one that's going to make her realise, hang on a second, I can't live my life being horrible, being a bitch. And I can say that word because pretty much the language I use in here is going to be like the same language they use on the show, so I'm not going to say like any of the swears, but characters say bitch a lot in Emmerdale, so you will hear me saying the word bitch when appropriate. Obviously, I'm not just going to say bitch because it's not appropriate. It's like in a 12A film, they'll say the F word, which I'm not going to say because you never hear them say that in a Salt Before the Watershed, which sometimes is a bit unbelievable. I won't say that, because the more you swear, the more the certificate of review goes up. Because, if in an episode of Emmerdale or Coronation Street, well, we'll stick with Emmerdale. For example, of Emmerdale, you had a character like Charity, just saying to Moira, hey, you're right, bitchy McBitcherson, you're the bitch of the bitch is back and bitch, you're the bitch and bitch. That's wrong. So that's not what these reviews are going to be about. I will use my language appropriately, and I'm aware that we're nearly an hour into the review, and I'm just putting in some housekeeping. But yes, what was I saying again? Oh yes, so I was talking about how Leah needs prison, but yeah, she just needs it just to learn that she can't behave like that in society. She needs to learn the law. And she can't be all like, oh, my dad's a doctor, so I can be as awful as I want to people. She's got to learn that, her actions have consequences. And I'm looking forward to maybe having Leah back in the next couple of weeks. And, somebody giving her that emotional slap that she needs, or maybe even her doing something that incriminates herself and going to prison as a result of that. Something like that, maybe. So, I think that's a good place to leave this week. as Emmerdale. So, yes, I do apologise there was no review last week, but we shall have one the week after, and I really hope that when I do the next Emmerdale review next week, that, I can have the good news that Rebecca's free, she managed to escape Lachlan, and Lachlan's in jail. Because I'll tell you, that's another thing. I hate it when TV shows, and I say TV shows because I don't just mean soaps, I mean TV shows in general, kill off the bad guy instead of letting justice do its job and have the bad guy get arrested and, go through court and have the whole humiliation, especially if they're sort of a high-ranking person, like they're a doctor or a teacher or something, and then have them go through the whole trial procedure. Just like, it was so great to have Pierce in Emmerdale last year go to jail for raping Rona. It was good that, they didn't kill him. They had him go to jail. And the idea is that he is still alive, rotting in jail for what he did. And I think, and that's another thing. I'm so against the death penalty because I think it's a far worse punishment if you were to kill people to spend the remainder of your life in jail than to not have a life. Because if you don't have a life, then you don't have a life. And some people would argue, well, that's more of a punishment because you don't have a life. But if you're dead, you're dead. But if you're in jail, especially jail for the remainder of your life, no matter how long or short that is, then, every day you've got that whole, I'm in here because of what I did. I belong in here. I did something bad to somebody, and this is where I belong because I'm a criminal. I'm in prison. And yes, I think prison is better than death. I think that's why I'm such a believer in not having the death penalty. I'm glad that there's no death penalty in the UK, and they should completely abolish it in America. But again, this isn't a political debate. The Emmerdale and Coronation Street, the Corriedale Reviews channel is not a political channel. It's a channel where, we speak about the soaps. I say stuff to you about what I liked in the soaps, and then in the comments below, you guys reply saying, oh yeah, I liked this. Oh, make sure you mention this in the next one. And, it's really nice when I make a video to look through it and see everyone's positive comments about the video. So, I mean, that's the reason why I keep making them, is because of all of you guys who listen and who give me that feedback. It makes it really worthwhile. So thank you. Thank you to all of you. But yeah, no, I much prefer it when a character goes to jail as opposed to a character just dies. Like, there was a drama where it was all about who's raped. Did the guy rape the girl, or did the girl make it up? And you think, oh, I don't know what side to believe. And then it becomes more clear as the drama goes on that the bloke is the bad guy and the bloke raped her. And then they have absolutely all the evidence they need to get him to go to jail. But then the whole drama ends with him dead in a river. And that was so disappointing. And it's more disappointing for a sort of TV series than a soap, because, in a soap, things happen. But for the series to end like that, with a character dead, I'm going to tell you what the name of the series was. If if you don't want to know because you want to watch it, then just go la 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 for the next 3 seconds. But it was called Liar, and really good, definitely worth a watch. So it ends with the bad guy dead, instead of how I would have wanted it to end, where they had all the evidence that they needed to get him banged up for the remainder of his life. Instead of that, no, he's dead in a river. That's the end of the series. It's like the writers have just stuck their middle finger up. Yeah, so I much prefer it when a character goes to jail instead of dying. And, they have that whole fall from grace, especially if they are a well-respected member of the community, like this character was. I think he was a doctor. So yes, that's something that I like, especially when they know they're beaten. There's all the evidence is against them. There's no way out. So yes, definitely, I much prefer it when a bad guy, goes to jail instead of dies. And that's another thing as well. It means that there's always the potential for them to return, which is another good thing, because if there were no bad guys in soaps, I might as well not watch. I might as well just go down to the local cafe and just listen to everyone's conversations instead of watching the soaps. So obviously soaps don't work without bad guys, but, well, I mean, they do. They probably would. We have had episodes of soaps that haven't relied heavily on bad guys. We had one episode, a really good episode, in December of 2016, where we had Ashley, who was suffering from dementia, and we have a whole episode from his perspective. And that's another thing. As I said earlier, I prefer Emmerdale to Coronation Street because, as well, Emmerdale is so innovative, so much more innovative than the other soaps. The fact is, they do episodes like that, and they've done 2 wonderful flashback episodes. One where we learned more about Faith's life, and one more recently where we found out about that Ryan had actually survived. Remember when I watched the one with Faith and Kane and Chas, where we, that was the first time that we'd had a flashback episode that I can remember, where we learn about the history of these characters. And I was watching it on the train, I think. I can't remember where I was going. But, I was on the train somewhere, and I was watching it. It's like, am I watching Emmerdale? Because, as well, the production values as well that went into it were outstanding. Really good work. And, yeah, I love the fact that Emmerdale do that. Emmerdale takes risk, and Emmerdale does things like that. But, yes, I'm going to leave it here because, wow, I've rambled on at you for 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 18 seconds. So I will leave it there, but I will speak to you all again next week. And I will also be doing my Coronation Street review shortly. I've not watched either part of tonight's episode, so I will watch that tomorrow with my lunch. So I will let you know everything about Coronation Street tomorrow. So this has been Corriedale Reviews, and thank you so much for listening to just an hour of me rambling about one of my favourite shows. Take care, guys.